Hello Dishers, it's a while since I've made a video, so I thought I'd do a new one with a few updates and talk about a few bits and pieces that I've been thinking about. One of the things that we're all looking for is answers, and every now and then you think to yourself, oh yeah, I've come across something that could be causing DISH, you know. I'll give you an example. My sister last year, she had a problem with her parathyroid, and I said to her, oh, what's wrong with you? And she said, oh, I've got too much calcium in my blood. And suddenly this little light bulb woke up in my head, and I was thinking, oh my God, maybe it's something genetic. Maybe I've got too much calcium in my blood, and that's exactly what's causing DISH. Anyway, to cut a long story short, she had to have an operation. Apparently there's like a small benign tumour that was on the parathyroid, and she had that removed, and her blood calcium levels went back to normal, and she's fine now. And I thought to myself, well, okay, maybe it's nothing to do with that then. It did make me think for a moment that there was something genetic going on, but I've not got a problem with my parathyroid. My thyroid levels are all okay. So, you know, it's one of those little rabbit holes that I went down and didn't get an answer. So I think we have to accept that we've got DISH. We are always looking for answers, and until someone spends a shed load of money on research, I don't think we're going to get much answers. So what we have to do is we have to live with what we've got and rely on what we've learned, and try and move forward with exercises, keep moving, the correct diet, etc., etc. So I've had DISH for 3 years. Well, I was diagnosed for DISH 3 years ago, and since then I've done an awful lot of research into it, and I've sort of more or less come to my own conclusions. And you might say to me, well, what are those conclusions? What do you think DISH is? So I wrote down here what I think DISH is, and I said, DISH is an over-amplification of the body's defence against damage and degenerative decline, and it is controlled by a combination of metabolic and genetic process. So you might think, well, that's a mouthful, but I think what's happening is that as we all get older, you get damage in your body, and what happens is your body then tries to repair that damage. In our case, there's damage that's caused where the muscle connective tissue goes into the joint. So it's the enthesis. I can never say it properly. So what happens is that begins to harden, and that damage then sends the body into a defense mechanism. And one of the ways the body tries to defend against this hardening of the enthesis is to lay down calcium in that area to try and strengthen it. So when I say about over amplification, what I'm talking about is your body recognises there's a problem. It sends the troops in to try and fix it, but then something happens and it then carries on regardless, and it keeps on going, and then we start to get this build up of the calcium in our joints. But to actually enable that process, you need the metabolic side of the disease to be helping it. And this is why we know that people with DISH tend to be overweight. They tend to be either diabetic or pre-diabetic, and they've got other metabolic issues going on. High blood pressure is another sort of classic sign. So all these things tend to sort of make you think, well, actually this is the metabolic side of the body that's feeding the over amplification of the protective process. So I don't think anybody's ever going to come along and say, right, this is it, this is one thing that causes DISH. I think it's pretty well accepted that DISH is a number of things that come together you might have a genetic predisposition to this. You are becoming degenerative and your body's trying to repair it. In that process, it gets amplified. And because your body is in a state of where the metabolic process can feed, that all adds to the ability of DISH to take hold and to get into your joints and to build up. So I think there's a lot of issues there. Some of them we can actually influence, and that's important. If you look at any information on DISH, and they say, well, a typical DISH person is, overweight, they've got diabetes, high blood pressure, and so on. Those things you can take care of. I wasn't particularly overweight, but I certainly had a few extra pounds from my belly, and Christmas is just gone, and I've put on a bit more weight, so I want to try and reduce that weight back down again, because not only does the metabolic process feed DISH, but also if you're carrying extra weight, it's putting more pressure onto your joints. If you've got more pressure on your joints, then they are going to wear and they are going to come under strain. So then again, your body then is trying to protect you against that. So it's like an ever vicious circle. If you've got high blood pressure, which I've got, I've had high blood pressure for the last 10-15 years. The doctor said that it's a genetic thing. My mum had high blood pressure, and I've now got it. So for the last 10 years I've been taking high blood pressure tablets, and every now and then I have to increase the dose, because I presume that my arteries are getting slightly harder, and you have to take more of the drug to actually try and relax the arteries to reduce your blood pressure. So there is things that we can do, and it also depends on whereabouts you are in the disease. If you've been diagnosed quite early, and say, a guy was on my forum the other day, on my YouTube channel, and he said, I've been diagnosed with DISH and I'm 46, and I thought, crikey, that's quite young. But in a way, it's a positive, because if he's been told he's got DISH at that age, he can start taking action straight away. He can look at his blood pressure, he can look at his metabolic rates, he can look at his insulin, and look at if he's pre-diabetic. All those things he can start taking care of now. But one of the biggest things that I want to talk about today is movement and trying to keep your body moving all the time and doing some exercises. So a few people have said to me, well, what exercises do you do? And I've got some yoga moves that I do. You may have seen my previous video where I went to see Liz, my physiotherapist. I go and see her once a month because sometimes things just get on top of me. My back becomes really stiff, and when I come out of there, I feel like I'm floating, to be honest with you, because she not only releases some of the strain and the tension in the muscles, but you would have seen on that video that she does cupping with these suction cups that she moves up and down my body. And what that does is it pulls the myofascial tissue, and that gets very sticky and very stiff, and that's a build-up of you not being able to move properly. So if she can release that myofascial release, that then allows you to sort of move a bit easier. And then if you supplement that, if you go to the physio once a month, that's great, but then you've got to put something into it as well, which is the yoga exercises. And I'm not going to a yoga class. I don't want to be there for an hour, especially at my age. Some things can happen. So I tend to do these exercises every morning. I always have a very hot shower first, to try and get your muscles relaxed, to try and get some warmth into your body. You don't want to be doing these exercises cold. that's the worst thing you could do. So always make sure you've had a hot bath, a hot shower, you're feeling quite supple, and do the exercises then whilst your body is in that state. Don't go into a cold room and then suddenly start trying to do these exercises, because you'll probably do yourself an injury. Something I need to mention, people have said to me in the past, are you a doctor? No, I'm not a doctor. Everything I'm telling you now is what I've learnt myself. I can't guarantee that it's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It's what I've learned, it's what I believe. I've got DISH, I've got to try and get on with it. So that I'm just imparting what I do to deal with DISH. And if it helps someone out there, then that's great. If you think it's a load of old baloney, that's entirely your view. And you know, the internet's a big place. You can do an awful lot of research yourself, and see what conclusions you come to. And if you think that what I've said on one of these videos is a load of baloney, don't just give me a thumbs down, because that's not going to help anyone. If you believe that there is something else that I'm missing, or you think I'm going down the wrong route, or you think there's something which is not right, put it in the comment section, and then we can all see it, and then I could have an opportunity to reply to that and put why I think such and such is the right thing to do. And if that person has come up with something that's relevant and I think is correct, then I'm quite willing to say that. At the end of the day, I want a resolution or a help with DISH as much as you guys do. So that's where we are at the moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask my wife to film me whilst I do the yoga moves that I do. And whilst I'm doing them, I will explain what it is I'm trying to do, what parts of my spine I'm trying to keep mobile. So I'll go and get my trusty wife to hold the camera while I do these moves, and then hopefully you can try some of these moves at home. What I'm going to do now is just show you the yoga exercises that I do on a daily basis. And as I said before, make sure that you're warm, that you're in a warm room, that you've had a hot shower, so that you're feeling quite supple. I think one of the major issues with DISH is posture. And because I'm tall, I've always tended to sort of go like this. And when I walk, I tend to sort of lead with my chin. And one of the areas of the DISH that I've got is in my neck and at the top of my spine. And that's all been caused by this bad posture. And if you remember what I said previously, the body is trying to strengthen areas that are being weakened by processes that are going on in your body, but also posture, I think, is a major issue. And also the damage that's being done to your body. So if you're in a martial arts and you're having an awful lot of damage done to your body, then your body will react to that area of damage. One of the areas of damage I've got is obviously in the top of the spine and the neck because of my poor posture. I mean, if I turn sideways, you can probably see that the top of my spine is slightly rounded, and my neck, my chin is sort of like that. So what I'm trying to do when I'm doing the yoga exercises, and the exercise I'm going to show you, is to try and correct some of that bad posture. So the first thing is with the spine, at the top of the spine, the thoracic area, is to try and bring the shoulders back, because if you bring your shoulders forward, you immediately round the top of your spine. So it's to try and open up the rib cage and bring back the shoulders. And then with the neck, because you tend to go like that, and then you're putting strain on the top of here, it's about trying to get your head more upright, which then means there's less weight, and bring the chin back in so that you're straightening up the back of the neck here. So one of the exercises I do is just try and think about posture. So shoulders back, and then just bring the chin gently back towards my chest, and you can feel it stretching this area here. Now with all these exercises, what I'm saying to you is do it gently. Don't go in and go real hard on yourself, because you could damage yourself. So just go to the point where you sort of feel it's doing something, but you're not over pressurizing things. So first thing is posture. Think about it. Get your shoulders back, chin in, and just do a couple of exercises where you're bringing this chin back there. So you're trying to get your body straight. So then when I move on to the next things, I want to try and get this area moving now. Right. So first thing is the shoulder, loosening up the shoulders. So I'm just going to bring these arms over like this, just a nice simple circular motion. And now normally this would all be cracking and what have you, but I've actually done the exercises this morning already. So I've already gone through all my cracking procedures. And then just bring your arms back again. You can hear this right shoulder cracking now. And then once I've done that, it's just simple shoulder rolls like this. So what I'm trying to do with the shoulder rolls is to try and get all this upper thoracic area and the trapezes, trying to get that flowing again. So this will help try and increase blood flow to that area.
Don't shush.
Okay, so that's just loosening up the top end. Okay, the next thing, this is where some of the yoga moves come in, so we might need to adjust the... Okay, now we're going to do some yoga moves. I apologise, I don't know the names of the animals, etc., but I'll tell you what the yoga move is meant to be doing in relation to the body. So the first one is you get on your hands and knees like this, and you let the bottom of your spine sag. So you're letting this probably not curving that much because it's obviously a bit stiff, but I'm letting this bottom bit here come towards the floor. So I'm going like this, and then I'm lifting my head at the same time. So you can see I'm trying to let that bottom of my, you can probably hear it making noises. Don't worry about that. That just means there's ligaments moving or vertebrae moving. So I'm letting that drop down to there, and then I'm going all the way the opposite way. I'm trying to arch my back now. I move my head down. Okay, so what I'm doing there is the spine, I'm letting it sag one way and then curve another. So I'm trying to get the spine moving. What I normally do after that is I would do some press-ups. So some of the guys might want to do that. I know the ladies probably won't want to do the press-ups, but I would go into doing some press-ups. And the reason I do the press-ups is because you're building up the muscle tone through the whole of your body, which I think is good for supporting the core. I'm not going to do the press-ups now because that's not really what you want to see. Okay, so once I've done my press-ups, I'll go down onto the floor, put my arms out right out to as far as I can go, and then I'm rotating my hips into the floor like this, so you're pushing down with your hips, but at the same time, and that's why I do it on carpet, I actually grip the carpet and pull myself. So if you imagine it, I'm trying to stretch the spine. So this is going downwards and this is going upwards. Okay.
Can you explain what?
So just to explain that move on the floor, but in this, so imagine I'm on the floor. What I'm doing is I'm moving these hips like that. So by doing that, this bit curving forward, you're gently stretching this lumbar spine. Yeah? And then by putting your arms along the floor in front of you, you're keeping this top part of the spine straight and you're keeping it secure. So by pushing that down like that, and then I use my fingertips to try and get a bit of grip, you're just gently elongating the spine.
Yeah, on there.
So just do it. Right, so just one more time. Okay, now from that position, you can bring your arms up to your elbows like this. I think they call this the sphinx. So again, don't try and go too hard or too far when you first start doing these exercises. I've been doing these exercises for 3 years, so to a certain degree, I'm actually a bit more supple than what I was 3 years ago. So I'm coming up onto my elbows, and what I'm doing is just letting this area of my spine sag into the floor. And then you can, at a later stage, you just push up a little bit more like this, just to add to that, you know, arc in the bottom of the spine. So once I've done that, I then go over onto my back. And what I'm doing is now I'm going to try and pull my hips down the floor and then move my arms back over my head like this. And if you've got that slight curvature in the top of the spine, you'll definitely feel this now, because you're on a flat floor. You're pulling your hips down and then you're moving your hands above your head. And what happens is you can feel that curvature in the spine trying to be flattened in a way. And I've got no problem with that, because I don't want that curvature to get worse. I want to try and stabilise it. So what I do is I actually lift up my legs like this and gently put some pressure on that, and sometimes you'll hear it crack. Again, there's no problem with something cracking. That shows it's moving. So then I put my arms above my head, and then trying to keep the elbows as close to the floor as possible, I then bring these down like this. And you'll notice that what I'm trying to do is keep these shoulders on the floor, elbows on the floor, and then just doing an arc like this. And what that's doing is opening up the chest, opening up the shoulders, and stretching these arms as well, stretching the trapezius at the back. And whilst I'm doing this, if you remember right at the beginning I said about trying to get my chin onto my chest, what I'm doing is I'm just gently trying to straighten my neck out on the floor and bring my chin there, and then I'm doing this exercise at the same time. Okay, so once I've done that, I go back over again. And then the finale is to do the child's pose, which is where you go down onto the floor and you're stretching your arms out in front of you like this. You're putting your head down. Now, when you do this initially, you're going to feel an awful lot of resistance in your thoracic spine. It won't like this at all. So do it gently. So you go into this, and you might start off by just going like that with your elbows on the floor, and that's fine. Do that for a few weeks. Then as you try and get your spine moving a little bit more, then move your head down, and then move back into your hips. And come back like this. And what you'll do is you'll feel that stretching this area here, the muscles that go down alongside the spine, and also the muscles across here. So it's a nice general stretch for that area. Once I've done that, the last thing I do is I'd find a door frame. Now I'm not going to try and shift everything around to show you this, but if you imagine I've got a door frame in front of me now, what I would do is get my elbows on the side of the door, like this, this on the top of the door, and then once I'm in there, is push forward like this. And you see this again, it's stretching all this, because people with DISH, as their spine starts to degenerate in that thoracic area, what happens is you start to go like this. And it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, because what happens is that the more you go over, the more pressure you put on your spine, the more pain you get, and then you just keep on going. Like, if you imagine you've got like a lead weight pulling you down like that, it's just going to make your backs hurt so much. So all the time you've got to think, well, if I'm upright, my chin's in, my shoulders are back, there is no pressure now on the top of the spine because everything's straight. As soon as I put my head over or my shoulders over or anything like that, imagine the weight pulling down on here. And then that's when you get the pain in the top of the spine. So the whole idea of doing that door one is to open this up, open this area up, open this area up, and then get that release. And that's about it. And that's what I do. I spend about 10 minutes every day without fail. Sometimes I do it twice a day, but always remember, do it after a hot shower. Make sure you're warmed up. Don't go too hard, don't go too far. This is a gentle process. This is all about trying to get a movement back into the spine. Once you've done that, you can then try pushing it out a little bit further. And if you do this on a daily basis, I'm not saying it's not going to hurt, it will. And there are days when you feel like you don't want to do it. In that case, take some anti-inflammatories, take some naproxen or whatever, and that will help with the pain. But it's important that if you're going to carry on keeping moving, you should try and do some of these exercises every day. All right. Okay, one other area that I thought I would add to this video is my daily supplementation for DISH. Again, this is purely subjective. It's something that I do. You may not agree with it, but the reasoning behind what I'm just about to show you is that my view is that you've got connective tissue problems. It's the entheses that are coming from the muscle through the connective tissue to the joint. That's where the problem is. So I'm thinking, okay, connective tissue, what can we do to support that area? So one of the things that I've been doing for the last year is taking a collagen supplementation. Some days I use a tablet, a collagen tablet, but other days I use what I'm going to show you now, which is a smoothie, which includes protein and collagen and antioxidants. We know that red fruits such as blueberries, blackberries, plums, this sort of thing, I mean, you have to take an awful lot of those to get the benefit. But from my point of view, I'm thinking, right, well, if I can once every other day have a smoothie which includes antioxidants and also collagen supplement and protein, this is going to help with the connective tissue. The connective tissue is basically being degenerative. So if you can give your body the food to actually repair that area, I think that's a good thing. Maybe I'll look a lot younger in a few years' time, I doubt it, but it's just another thing that I'm doing. I'm trying to help my body deal with DISH. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the camera now, show you how I make up this smoothie and explain what's going into it. Okay everybody, hopefully you can see what I'm doing. What I'm going to put into this smoothie is blueberries. These are frozen blueberries, you get them from any supermarket. And these are dark, sweet cherries. Again, a dark fruit, good antioxidant. These are frozen, so I'm going to put a few of those in. Some banana, just half a banana. Again, good food, good carbohydrate that. This is the collagen powder that I use, okay? If you're looking for this on the internet, what you need to be looking for is type 2 collagen. Now, most of these things will have a whole multitude of different collagens, and if you do your research, you'll see there's lots of collagen types that do different things. But the ones that are concerned with the connective tissue is type 2. So this particular one does contain type 2, but it also contains type 1, 3 and 5. And I think 1 is the one that is good for your skin, 2 is good for connective tissue, and then obviously the other ones are for other reasons. So that's the collagen powder. I also have in here normal protein powder. Again, you can get this quite easily. You can get a 1 kilo sack of just pure protein powder. Protein is the building blocks of connective tissue. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pump in this extra collagen and protein into my body to help my body repair or sustain and keep in a good condition the connective tissues that we have a problem with. And also, the last thing is quark, which is like a soft cheese, but it's high protein once again. So I just put in a few blueberries. So a few blueberries, only a few, just a few cherries, banana, so just break up that banana. Oh, something else I forgot to mention is to make it into a smoothie. I use coconut juice, which is really nice. Gives it a lovely taste, and it's got lots of other good properties. Coconut milk. So I use the coconut milk as the liquid part. Okay, so just a spoonful of protein powder. Spoonful of the collagen. That's what it looks like, just white powder. And then just a spoonful of quark. Weird stuff, but yeah, I don't know how I'm pronouncing it correctly. Quark. Put that in. Alright. That's it. So you've only got 6 ingredients. You've got your antioxidants, your dark frozen fruit, dark cherries or blueberries, collagen powder, protein powder, quark, banana, and coconut juice. Okay? Alright. Just blend this up now. There you go, one smoothie. Now some people might say, well, that looks disgusting. Tell you what, it tastes beautiful. Okay, so with the supplement, these are some of the other supplements that I take. Okay, I'll just quickly run you through these. This is pure collagen supplement tablet that I will take on a day that I don't have this. This is another product that you can get off the internet in antioxidant protection. Rose hips. I'm always drinking rosehip tea, but rosehip is very good for anti-inflammatory properties. A good quality magnesium, absolutely essential, because our condition causes our muscles to go tight, and by virtue of that they get very tired and you get this you get pain in the muscles. And what magnesium does is it helps to restore that muscle and release some of that pain. So magnesium is a regular thing that you should be taking. Okay, this one is vitamin K2. Now the jury's out on this one, because vitamin K2 helps with the regulation of calcium. Now some people might say, oh, the last thing you want to do is help calcium in your body. The thing is the calcium is in the body, and it's at the moment with DISH, it's going into the wrong area. What K2 does, and it's a very scientific thing, so I'm not even going to attempt to try and explain how it works, but K2 vitamin directs the calcium to the proper area, so it regulates it. So my belief is that by taking K2, you're making the calcium, or you're making your body do what it should do with calcium, not what it shouldn't do, if that makes sense. But to use vitamin K2 correctly, You also need vitamin D, which is probably not a bad thing to take, especially in the winter, because you're not getting the sun, you're not getting the vitamin D into the back of your eyes. So I take this supplement, which supposedly you should take with vitamin K2. So vitamin D, vitamin K2. One last thing, I've mentioned to you about the microbiome in the guts. What I do take is a product called BioCult, which is a probiotic. So I take that on a daily basis along with a probiotic yogurt, because I think that what I'd like to do is to get those probiotics into your gut, which I believe has got a massive part of what's going on in your body in terms of the metabolic processes. So if you can help your gut by giving it good probiotics, it can only be doing good things. So today we've covered some of the things that I think you can do to slow down the progress of DISH, to help you get on with your daily life with DISH. I've talked about you've got to keep on moving and do those yoga moves that I've shown you. Be careful, don't go crazy. It's a long journey. If you're really stiff at this point in time, it's going to take a while for you to try and start getting movement into those joints. So if you've got a physiotherapist, speak to her or he and get advice from them before you go crazy. I don't want to be, responsible for you hurting yourself. So just take it easy, get some advice, and if necessary, show them this video and see whether they think it's the right thing to do. The supplementation that I'm taking, again, it's my take. I'm not saying you've got to do this. I'm not saying it's 100% right. I'm like you. I'm in the dark with the DISH. All I've got is the knowledge that I've extracted myself. I've tried to use my engineering brain to work out what's going on. That's why I'm thinking about the enthesis, which, if you like, they're bits of rope that are holding your joints together, your muscles and your joints together, and they're sort of slowly going ping, 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 and what's happening is your body is putting that calcium, laying that calcium down there to try and strengthen that area. So all the help you can give to the collagen and to the elasticity of your fibres it's got to be a good thing. Maybe in a few years' time, when there's more research done, people will say, well, that's a load of rubbish. All I've got is what I've got right now, the knowledge I've got. And I'm not saying that I feel, massively better, but I can still function, I can still go to work, and I've still got a relatively good amount of movement in my body. But every night, I'm in pain. I use a hot cushion. I think I've showed you the hot cushion before in one of the other videos. Quite often I'll come home at night and my neck will be hurting, and I'll wrap that hot towel around my neck just to try and loosen up the muscles. But I don't know whether I'll be a lot worse off by not doing the regime that I do. So please take something from this. See whether it helps you. Make sure you speak to your physiotherapist. Make sure that they're happy with what I'm suggesting, and hopefully it's going to help you. So there you go, folks. That's another video. Hopefully you've drawn some knowledge from this, and I'll see you soon.